I want to end this episode. Now, normally we would do stat of the week or something, and we're not going to do that. I want to end this episode talking about the Boston Red Sox. This past week has been a very difficult time for me as a Red Sox fan because two things have happened. The first thing is the retirement of Terry Francona, who has been the manager of the Cleveland Guardians for the last handful of years. He was the manager of the 2004 Red Sox team, also the 2007 Red Sox team. He managed the team for quite a while. But I will always know him as Tito and the manager of that 2004 team. And that 2004 Red Sox team is the greatest sports moment of my life because of so many factors that went into it, the familial aspect of it, breaking the curse, the way that it all happened, beating the Yankees down 0-3. There's so many things that happened in that postseason that just will always be memorable and indelible in my brain. And so I'm sad to see him retire because whenever a guy retires that you feel like you have a connection with, you feel like a part of that connection or a part of that memory is retiring with them. And retirement is one thing, but also in the news recently was the passing of former Red Sox pitcher Tim Wakefield. He was 57. He had brain cancer, which I'm not sure if I've talked about it on this platform. It's the same thing that my mom died of. And it's always tough to see that. It brings back some memories. But Tim Wakefield, by all accounts, was a great human being. He was a great teammate. He embodied everything that you think about when you think about a professional. And maybe that doesn't resonate with people today, but for me, on that team, and those teams, I should say, Tim Wakefield was a staple. He joined the team in 1995. I was 12 years old, and he stayed on the team until 2012. So I saw his entire Red Sox career. 176 wins. He retired with 200 wins total, which is amazing for a guy who threw a knuckleball. And I know he was around a long time, but still, to be around long enough to get 200 wins, throwing a knuckleball is amazing. I think the thing that people mostly forget about with him is how much he did in the community for Boston, how much he did for the Jimmy Fund, how much he did around the community, especially for kids. And that means a lot. I feel like a lot of athletes today don't take their platform seriously enough and that they don't use it for enough good. It doesn't take a whole lot to make one kid's day or to go visit a children's hospital where these kids are dying. You're making millions of dollars. I'm not saying that you should spend every waking moment trying to do things like that, but you have a platform. People look up to you, especially these kids. And I think Tim Wakefield took that very seriously. He took it seriously to wear the colors on the front of the jersey. And I know that I just talked about how if you're a fan of a team, they need to calm down. But there are a lot of people who have a healthy relationship and a healthy bond with their sports teams in their towns. And while Boston has a lot of issues with its fandom, I can tell you that as somebody who grew up in that area, having a healthy respect and a healthy relationship with that sports team is something that a lot of people share in that community. We shower praise on the players that treat that with respect. And Tim Wakefield, in my opinion, did that with the utmost respect for the fans. When I think about Tim Wakefield and I think about his legacy, I wonder what can be done to make sure that Tim Wakefield's legacy does not go unknown. Because I think when somebody passes away, especially in a sport like baseball where personalities are constantly churning through, I think that people's legacies can be forgotten. And I was thinking about it today and I realized that what the Red Sox have to do is retire his number. His number was 49. You might think that's preposterous because retiring of numbers is usually reserved for somebody who's amazing. But I think when you're talking about what greatness is, you have to think about it in the context of the person. And I think in this particular instance, his greatness extended far beyond the field. He wasn't an excellent pitcher. He certainly wasn't the best Red Sox of all time. And when you think about the numbers that have been retired, most of them come with some semblance of accolades, whether it's World Series or statistics or what have you. But also, many of the guys that have been retired and have their numbers up at Fenway Park also share the same connection with the fans. And I think that Tim Wakefield had that. And I think that it would be amazing to make sure that his family, the people that are surviving him, know how much he meant to the community, how much he meant to the organization, and for real. Not just because he won a World Series, but because of everything that he did to support the Red Sox, to support the city of Boston, and just to support humanity in and of itself. I think that's something that is forgotten. And so I'm sad this week because that Red Sox team is slowly fading from existence. But I'll tell you what, they won't fade from my brain. And it hit me knowing that Tim Wakefield is no longer here, knowing how he died. And we're not even going to get into everything that happened with Curt Schilling because that's just, it's save it for another day. But rest in peace, Tim Wakefield. You will definitely be missed in the Red Sox organization. I know that many fans are going to think about you a lot, especially come October. This is that time of year where I always think about that playoff run. I wish your family the best, and I hope that your memory continues to be alive. And maybe one day when I go to Fenway Park, I'll see that number 49 up in the rafters.